Welcome, everyone. My name is Matty Sosa or Matt, and today we're going to be grading all the trades that have happened so far in this 2026 NBA offseason. Now, 2019 was probably the craziest offseason that we're going to see or have ever seen, with all of the star players moving to different teams, being traded, free agency, you name it. So far, 2026 has rivaled that, though. We've seen a lot of trades, a lot of free agency signings, and as of today, LeBron James is a 76er, joining Jaylen Brown over there and creating a starting five that is probably the favorites to come out of the East. That's just unreal. So there's still some names I haven't signed, like Duran, Peyton Watson, I believe Matherin. We're also still waiting on. So we'll see what happens with them, but it's been a really good offseason. So without further ado, minus a few trades, shout out Dorian Finney-Smith, Devin Carter, and DeAndre Ayton. Let's jump right into the grades for the 2026 NBA offseason trades. Starting us off strong, we have John Morant to the Portland Trailblazers. Now, for me, this one's getting an easy A. John may not be the same player we saw in 2021 or even 2022, and there has been a lot of off the court issues in the past, and there's still the injury concern, as he only played 20 games this past season. John Morant is only 26 years old, just came off averaging 19.5 points, 8.1 assists, 3.3 rebounds, but 3.6 turnovers, 41% from the field, and 23% from three. Not the best. Ja recently stated that he's been picking up new hobbies since moving to Portland, and I believe that Dame and Drew's mentorship should help him on the court and also off the court, helping him to revert back to the player that he once was. I believe this change of scenery is going to be a big help for him, and hopefully he'll revive his career and be able to get back to that 2022 All-Star athletic fantastic player, fun to watch. Everyone was wanting to watch John Morant and the Grizzlies. But there is a big question. The Blazers now have Dame, Josh, Drew, Scoot, and Shaden Sharp. So one of them will most likely end up getting traded. I want to say I would kind of be a little surprised if they didn't end up trading Drew Holiday to a contending team, or even trading Sharp or Scoot for a little more pieces. I don't know what the Blazers front office is doing, but I do know that what's his name, Mike Norrie said that he was going to start John Morant at the two. So we could see a potential lineup of Damian Lillard, John Morant, Denny, Tumani Kamara, Donovan Clingan, with those aforementioned depth pieces off the bench, and Robert Williams and Sidi Kusoko. The Blazers should be a playoff team again, and this year I'm predicting them to actually avoid the play-in. And now for Memphis, who got a return of Jeremy Grant and Chris Murray. This return's honestly going to get a D for me. Chris Murray is a nice young piece to have, but is he going to get minutes when you have Kareem Lopez, who you just drafted, and you can even play Gigi Jackson there at the three if you really want? Plus, you also just brought in Jeremy Grant, who plays the exact same position as him, and Grant averaged 18 points per game last season, 45% from the field, and is still on that big old contract where he's making $34 million next season, followed by $36 million the following season. Now, Grant should provide some veteran leadership for this young Memphis team, but it's kind of still crazy to me that John Morant's value was that low. It was so low that you couldn't even get a first or even a second round pick for him. That's just crazy. Now, what could we see for the Grizzlies on opening night? I'm thinking a lineup of Ty Jerome, Gigi Jackson, Jeremy Grant, Cam Boozer, maybe like Cedric Coward as well. I was trying to remember his name for a second. Now, who knows what the Grizzlies are going to do? They're most likely ending up going to miss the play-in this season. They're tanking still. Cam Boozer should be a fantastic piece for them to build around in the future, and I'm excited to see what him and Cedric Coward could do. But it's kind of a shame to see that 2021-22 team, Dylan Brooks, John Morant, Jaren Jackson Jr., Desmond Bain, Salty Odama, they're all gone now. So it's a new era in Memphis. Now, next may have been the biggest trade of the offseason. And of course, I'm talking about Bobby Portis, the Miami Heat. And of course, Giannis, too. And it's an easy A. Plus. Now, Pat Riley finally beat the wash allegations and lived up to his offseason promise of getting that franchise star. Giannis comes in at age 31, where he just came off a very injury-riddled season, where he had played 36 games, averaged 27 points, 5 assists, 9 rebounds on 62% from the field, 33% from three, and Giannis was also an all-star. Now, Giannis is still Giannis and a top 5 player in the league, but there's going to be questions on how him and Bam are going to work together. How are they going to work together in the paint, and how's their spacing going to be? And the real big question that everyone's asking is how is the team's overall spacing going to look, and how is their shooting going to look? Because they kind of traded away all of their shooters and spot up players for Giannis, and they kind of gutted their roster for him. Also, how is this depth going to come midseason? Say Giannis goes down, say Bam goes down for an extended period of time. This team might be cooked. You don't know what's going to happen if you lose one of those guys for a long period of time. But Miami ended up adding a franchise star, a nice rotational piece, and shooter in Bobby Portis, and their defense looks fantastic with Davion Mitchell, almost call him Donovan Mitchell there on the perimeter, Giannis and Bam down low. It's going to be a nightmare for teams. Now, Milwaukee enters a rebuild around Braden Berries, Ryan Rollins, and the package which they got for Giannis, which includes Tyler Hero, Khalil Ware, Jaime Hawkins Jr., Kasparas Jakuchonis, the 13th overall pick, aka Nato Men, two first-round picks in 2031 and 33, first-round pick swaps in 2030, and the second-round pick in 2033. I'm going to give this return a B plus for Giannis. Tyler Hero is 26 years old, comes in as kind of the leader of the rebuild, I guess. He'll most likely take over that first scoring option, continue to be a flamethrower from downtown, where he averaged 20 points per game and shot 37% from three for a Heat team last year that ended up losing in the play-in. There's a chance that Hero may be traded also by the start of next season, making the Giannis package go even larger. And where improved last season, average 11, 9, and 22 minutes a night for Coach Spo. But Coach Eric Spoelstra and Khalil Ware clashed a lot, mainly about off the court antics. And was that a reason he didn't play him as much? I mean, definitely. He's under Taylor Jenkins now and coming in at 7 foot tall. 22 years old. He's a fantastic young piece to have. Hopefully, he'll start a lot of games or at least play more, if not similar minutes to Miles Turner, who did not have a good season last year. Jaime Hawk is a fine rotational piece who can be a decent scorer, whether he starts, comes off the bench, and apparently Milwaukee refused the deal if Kasparas Jakuchonis wasn't included, coming off his rookie season where he averaged 6 points per game, 2 assists, and 2 rebounds at 19 years old. He's 6'5" and 200 pounds. Kasparas can definitely develop there, and I know that Milwaukee hasn't had the best rep with developing young talent recently, specifically like their draft picks mainly. But Kasparas will most likely see backup point guard minutes and hopefully see more than 17 minutes per game, which he saw last year in Miami. And Milwaukee got tons of draft capital as well with the first round picks in 2031 and 33, the swap in 30 and the second in 3030. Now, we don't know what the Heat are going to look like by then. In 2033, Giannis is going to be, I believe, 38 years old. I want to say he'll most likely be playing, but will it be for the Heat? Is he going to come back to Milwaukee? What's going to happen with Giannis? And now Milwaukee got the 13th overall pick from Miami, who they drafted Nate Ament with from Tennessee, who averaged 16 points, 6 rebounds, and 2 assists. He's kind of a project guy at 6'10" when he's also really lanky. Next, I'm going to get two small ones out of the way. Both of them involve the Oklahoma City Thunder, and the first one is them trading guard Aaron Wiggins to the Atlanta Hawks for two second-round picks. Well, the man that saved basketball is no longer on the Oklahoma City Thunder as he kind of fell out of their guard rotation last season. Wiggins was very good in their 2025 championship season, but now with the additions of Jerry McCain last year and of course the breakout of AJ Mitchell and now the draft from the Bennett Sturts, Wiggins kind of lost his place in that OKC guard room, averaging 9 points per game, 1.7 assists, 3 rebounds last season, in similar minutes to what he saw in 2025. Wiggins now joins the Hawks with Dyson Daniels and Naw as their shooting guards, and CJ McCollum and rookie Kingston Flemings as their point guards. Hopefully, there's some minutes to go around to Wiggins, who can be a nice microwave scorer off their bench. I'm gonna give Atlanta a B for this and OKC a C plus. But OKC didn't stop at acquiring second round picks and added two more to their treasure chest with Isaiah Joe, who they traded to the Detroit Pistons. Now the Detroit Pistons really needed shooting around Cade Cunningham in this team, and they went out and acquired someone who shot 42% from three last season. I'm gonna give this a B plus. I really like the addition of Isaiah Joe, and I think he can be able to continue shooting around 40% from three in Detroit. OKC, I'm just gonna give a C2. They add two more tricks to their treasure chest. We know how OKC does it. They like their picks. Now, I don't know what Brad Stevens was thinking when he made this move, when he traded Jaylen Brown, the 2024 Finals MVP, who just came off of his best season, averaging 28, 5, and 6, and also 47% from the field, All-Star, All-NBA second team, sixth in MVP voting, just led the Celtics to the second seed with Tatum only playing 15 games and then gets traded to the rival Philadelphia 76ers. I I just don't understand it. Now, did the Celtics ruin the relationship with Jaylen Brown by throwing his name in Giannis trade talks? I mean, yeah, most likely. No one wants to hear their name in trade talks. Or, you could also say, was Brad Stevens upset that they didn't get a good draft pick in this loaded draft class? And he was like, man, Jaylen Brown tried too hard. Let's get him off this team. We want to get younger and get better talent. But they didn't get younger because they traded for Paul George, first round picks in 2028 and 2031, and a second in 2028 and the 2030 second as well. I don't know how this deal didn't get done without the Clippers pick or Philadelphia having to pay that like rivalry tax in LeBaron Philon. That's just a straight mystery. The Celtics apparently wanted Edgecombe in this deal at first, but obviously Philly declined. Now, I forget if it was Mazzulla or Stevens who said this, but they said that Paul George was still a great player. And I mean, yeah, I agree. He's still a good player in this league. He can create his own shots. We just saw him shoot 39% from three last season. But Paul George is 7 years older than Jaylen Brown, on the decline, and they barely save money since George's contract goes up to $56 million in 2028. This is an easy A plus for Philadelphia, who just signed LeBron James as of today. So their new starting lineup can look something like Tyrese Maxey, VJ Edgecombe, Jaylen Brown, LeBron James, Embiid, Dean Wade off the bench, Anthony Simons, and LeBaron Philon. That's a very, very scary team. I think that's my favorites to come out of the East so far. And I don't expect the Celtics to fall off a cliff either. I mean, Tatum looked fine coming off his ACL tear. I mean, Paul George should be, a decent second option, maybe third option on this team. Derek White should hopefully bounce back from that abysmal season he had last year. I know the Celtics are expecting like a Jalen Brunson type of leap out of Peyton Pritchard, and they just signed Mitchell Robinson, have plenty of depth still. I think they'll be fine. Probably be a fifth to sixth seed, maybe fall into the play-in, but I'm gonna have to give them an F. They didn't get the Clippers pick or any young talent. It's crazy to me how you don't get LeBaron Philon in this deal. It's a disaster for the Celtics. Now we still don't know what's happening with the Kawhi Leonard deal as of now. It happened on I believe June 30th, and it's right now almost August with no resolution. And my Toronto Raptors bring home Kawhi Leonard. Finally, he's back. He wants to be here. He says he wants to retire here. Kawhi, welcome home. This deal sends Brandon Ingram, Grady Dick, unprotected first round picks in 2023, 31, and a 2027 first round swap with 2 seconds going to the Clippers. It was shocking to me to hear that Kawhi wanted to return to Toronto and also sign an extension with us. It's enough to make a grown man cry, it really is. But it brings up the question, why didn't you just resign in 2019? It makes no sense. I still think that the Raptors are one piece away from being a true title contender, and whether that is an upgrade at the point guard, an upgrade at the center, we'll have to see. But this Raptors team on defense is going to be absolutely a nightmare to deal with for opposing teams. Like, I'm gonna give this trade an A for the Raptors because they're still one piece away, I believe, from being true like title contenders. They're definitely Eastern Conference contenders, but I don't think they're true title contenders yet without that like I guess third like star because you have RJ Barrett who's a great scoring option obviously. You have Scotty who's going to be that partner with Kawhi, but I think you just need that center point guard upgrade or you need Emmanuel quickly to give you 65 games this season, stay healthy, be there when it matters most, and be there in the playoffs. Now, for the Clippers side of this deal, I'm going to give it a B+. Brandon Ingram just averaged 21 points per game on 47% from the field and 38% from three. He was also an all-star, but disappeared in the playoffs against a not-so-decent defensive Cavs team. Grady also fell out of the Raptors' rotation recently in the past couple of years. Hopefully, he can revive his career with the young Clippers team. I was a big fan of Grady Dick on our squad, so I'm cheering for him and Brandon Ingram. The part of the deal that really scares me, though, is the unprotected picks in 2031 and 33. The 2033 pick really scares me because Kawhi will be 41 by then, most likely retired, and who knows how the rest of the team is going to look. So there is a chance that the Clippers get a really good pick from the Raptors in 2023. Now, the LA Lakers sent out an unprotected first round pick in 2031 and 2033 and first round pick swaps in 2028 and 2030 to the Utah Jazz in exchange for Walker Kessler. Now, the Lakers finally have their rim protecting lob threat and are one step closer to building their all white team. Now, we saw what Luka did with Derek Lively and Daniel Gafford in Dallas, and even what he did with a little bit with DeAndre Ayton and Jackson Hayes here in LA. I can't wait to see him unlock a new level in Walker Kessler's game. The Lakers also signed Walker to a 4-year, $130 million extension, which is it's a lot of money for someone who only played 5 games last season before going down with shoulder surgery. Then there are still concerns for Walker. So, say Walker Kessler goes down again and misses an extended period of time, misses the rest of the season with another surgery or injury. Who do you start at center? You have Mamu and Kevon Looney looking as your backup centers slash like your forwards. That's not the greatest look, so you have to hope that Walker stays healthy. And the Lakers are going to be good till 2028 when Luka is a free agent. Now, there is a chance that Luka ends up leaving Los Angeles. He didn't choose to be there. He could easily opt out to sign a potential 5-year, $417 million deal. And if Luka ever leaves LA, the Lakers might fall off by then, and the Jazz get high picks from the Lakers, then it could easily go up to an A plus for Utah. But I'm gonna give both teams here an A. The LaMelo Ball trade got thrown into another trade that we saw earlier in the offseason, so I'm going to include the LaMelo trade in that. My grade still stays the same as if it was just like the Timberwolves and the Hornets doing the trade instead of a 4-team trade. So it got thrown into the deal that sent Julius Randle to Brooklyn with the 28th overall pick, sent Nick Claxton to the Bulls for basically for free. The Hornets get Naz Reid, Mo Gay, a 2033 first round pick, 3 future firsts, and 3 future seconds. Minnesota gets LaMelo Ball, Josh Green, and the 33rd overall pick in this year's draft, which was Isaiah Evans. Also, the 28th overall pick was used on Joshua Jefferson by the Nets. So first, Brooklyn acquires Randall and the 28th overall pick. I'm going to give it a C. Oh man, oh man. Julius Randle and Michael Porter Jr. hoops are going to be so much fun to watch. Randle comes in as the oldest player at 31 years old, making $33 million to this Nets team. Randle was a fine regular season player last year, averaging 21, 6, and 5 on 48% from the field. But pulled a Julius Randle special and disappeared in the playoffs, leaving Wolves fans wanting him off the team. And they got him off the team, and they got pretty good people to replace him with. So, like I said, C here for Brooklyn. Maybe he can come in and mentor the young guys. Maybe they'll trade him for picks or more young players. But it's Julius Randle. You kind of know what you're getting with him at this point in his career. Bulls, they get an easy A. They acquired Nick Claxton from the Nets for basically for nothing. They needed a center, Chicago did, and they got one for basically free. Claxton joins this young Bulls team and makes the potential lineup of Josh Giddey, Norman Powell, Montez Puzelis, Caleb Wilson as your wings, and Claxton as your center. This should be a play-in team, hopefully, but you never know what could happen. They're still young. They're still inexperienced. I'm going to give this trade an A because they got Nick Claxton, a good center, like I said, for basically for free. Now, I debated giving the Hornets an A or an A minus. I'm going to give them an A minus because we have to see how this team plays out. After their best season since the 2022 play-in, they trade away their longest tenured player in Miles Bridges and arguably their best player in LaMelo Ball, which they expect Kobe White to slide into that LaMelo Ball role now. Brandon Miller is going to get a huge contract extension and be their future with Concaniple. Naz Reid was a fantastic addition who should finally get full-time starter minutes either at the 4 or the 5, and they get a few more other pieces that I'll mention later, but it's like I said, it's an A minus. It's a great deal for Charlotte. Now on the Minnesota side of things, I'm gonna give them an A. It's a little bit risky as they lost a bit of draft capital, and now their top 5 contracts are really expensive. There's still a slight question mark on that forward spot. Like, do you want to start Ayo Dosunmu there? Do you want to make a trade? Who knows what they're gonna do there at that 3? And then there's also the questions of Melo and Ant with their personalities. on and off the court. I know that Ant said recently there might be growing pains in year one together, but he's very excited to play alongside LaMelo. And it recently came out that both Ant Edwards and LaMelo are going to France to train with Rudy Gobert this summer. Now, this is going to be a big year for both of them. It's an opportunity for LaMelo and Ant to mature together, to grow together on and off the court, and to possibly become one of the most entertaining duos in the league. Now, none of us have seen LaMelo Ball in a playoff series, like a true playoff series, 7 games. So who knows how he's going to look against these Western Conference defensive schemes and defensive guards like Stephon Castle, Cason Wallace, and Shea. I have really high hopes for the Wolves. I will sit to see how they perform, but I'm expecting them to be in that 3, 4, 5 seed range this upcoming season. Now, as I just mentioned, the Hornets traded away their longest tenure player, Miles Bridges, to the Phoenix Suns, and the Hornets in exchange get Grayson Allen, Royce O'Neal, a 2033 first, while the Suns get Miles Bridges, a 2027 second, and a first in 2029. Now, I know the discourse around this trade hasn't been like the most positive, and it's not the best look to go trade for Miles Bridges due to past incidents off the court, and it's hard to overlook that Michigan State connection with Matt Ishiba, their GM Brian Gregory, and head coach Jordan Ott, who all either worked, played, or graduated from MSU. Now, last season, Bridges played 77 games. He was available. He averaged 17 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists on 46% from the field for a Hornets team that lost to the Magic in the play-in. The Suns now look to have a potential lineup of Devin Booker slash Jalen Green, Miles Bridges, Dylan Brooks as their wings, and Mark Williams or Summer League standout Kaman Mayuwatch as their center. The Suns overachieved last season and made the playoffs as an 8th seed and ended up getting swept by the Oklahoma City Thunder. Now, they did get better by adding Miles Bridges, but losing a good shooter in Allen and a rotational piece in O'Neal hurts, and that 2033 first is a little risky because Booker will be 36. He'll most likely remain in Phoenix his whole career, but slight chance of things falling apart the next couple of seasons. Suns are back to being a bottom feeder out in the West. Who knows? Devin Booker could request a trade, and the Suns could enter a full rebuild, and it'll be dark times in Phoenix. I'm going to give Phoenix a C minus for this deal. I think Bridges has a chance to work there in that starting five. He'll be a great lob threat for Devin Booker. Hopefully, take some offensive workload off of him and Jalen Green. Like I said, it's not the best look or PR to trade for Miles Bridges, especially with the off the court issues in the past. So we'll have to see how he works out there. And I'm going to give the Hornets a B for this, as they get 2 players they can play right away off the bench. Maybe Royce O'Neal isn't playing, maybe he's only garbage time or they trade him, but Allen is a great spot up shooter to add to this team for a Charlotte Hornets team who made the most threes last season at 1343 and was the third best shooting team percentage wise at 37% as a team. As I mentioned, there's a chance that pick also turns out really good for them. And I know the Hornets they gave away their 2029 in the deal, but you expect the Hornets to be a playoff team by 2029. Hopefully, Miller and Khan are like that good rate duo for them, and they're able to elevate the Hornets into the playoffs. The final trade we're going to talk about happened recently, as of the point in time of recording this. I think it was like 4 or 5 days ago, and of course, it's Lou Dort to the Atlanta Hawks. So the Atlanta Hawks acquire Lou Dort and Ryan Nembhard. The Dallas Mavericks acquire Zachariah Ricochet, a 2027 second-round pick, and the Oklahoma City Thunder acquires seconds in 2027, 31, and 32. Now, starting off for Atlanta, this is a B. The Hawks are going to be a fantastic team on defense with Naw, Dyson Daniels, Jalen Johnson, and Lou Dort. It's going to be a nightmare on the perimeter, and it's going to be a nightmare down low, and it's going to be a nightmare from 3, as it's going to sound like a gun-firing range with all 4 of those guys. But they're going to lock up teams. So don't ask Dort to take any threes. Hopefully he doesn't, or hopefully he takes an offensive leap this year and goes back to what he was doing in 2021 to 2023, where he averaged around 14 points per game. There's a lot of mouths to feed there. As I said earlier, how Aaron Wiggins may not get some playing time or a lot of touches. Lou Dort should be getting starter minutes for the Atlanta Hawks. Dallas gets an A. Dallas gets an easy A for this. Zachariah Ricochet going to Dallas I think it's fantastic for him and his development. I think he needed to get out of Atlanta. Something had to happen for him there. Now he definitely had a sophomore slump last year for being the number one overall pick just 2 years ago. But it's crazy now. Dallas has the 2024 and 5 first overall picks on their team. And to be honest, Dallas didn't really give up much in this deal at all. They really gave up Ryan Nemhard in the second. So it's kind of crazy that Reese Shea's value was that low for being a number one overall pick only 2 years ago, and he finished second in that Rookie of the Year race as well, runner up to Stephon Castle. Recently, Trey Young also commented on Instagram saying that Risa Share is free from Atlanta, so it could have been Quinn Snyder holding him back there. We really don't know. But joining this young Mavericks team, getting a veteran leader and playmaker, hopefully back in Kyrie Irving, should help restore confidence in him, or who knows? Maybe he'll find his rhythm again, getting more touches with Kyrie. He was receiving DMPs in the playoffs last year, which definitely can hurt a young player's confidence, especially if you're as high of an overall pick as the number one overall pick. So I hope he finds his rhythm. I hope he has a really good third year and works well with Cooper Flag. It's gonna be scary if him and Cooper Flag can develop together. I'm gonna give OKC a C+ for this. They get more picks to add to the treasure chest. And now that's all the trades I wanted to cover in tonight's video. So let me know what you guys think about these grades. Let me know your grades down below. Let me know if you agree, disagree with anything that I said here as well. Don't forget to subscribe and tune in because we'll be going over free agency moves next. Peace.